Alright, this video will show you 5 things that you must give up in order to feel happy instantly. I'm going to share with you ways to go about it so that you're really able to generate that emotion and make that your dominant state of being. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I feel happy a majority of the time. Now, when I learned meditation about 5 or 6 years ago, I would say that that was one of the biggest game changers that happened in my life, because in that moment and within 2 or 3 days of deciding to do it, that's when my life really began to change. I began to observe my thoughts rather than react. Now, the things I'm going to share in this video were things that I gave up, and when I did, it made my general state of being go from about a solid 4 or a 5 out of 10 to about a solid 7 out of 10. Now, of course, I still go through waves. It's not like I'm always blissed out, but the idea is that a lot of letting go of the negative stuff that doesn't serve us is what helps us raise so that we feel better a majority of the time. Now, the first thing that we must give up in order to feel happy instantly is attachment to our thoughts. Now let me say something to you that can be an epiphany, and it can absolutely transform your life if you really allow it to, and that is that you think thoughts, but you are not your thoughts. Now this for me was a game changer, because I realized in that moment that I did not have to constantly react to my environment. I realized that the only thing that is really important is not the circumstances that are happening, but it's the way that I respond to the circumstances that are happening. That the only thing that really matters is my own state of being, regardless of what is happening. Now, this means that once we become aware that we can think thoughts, but we are not our thoughts, that we can neutralize our thoughts, we can observe our thoughts. Now, let me ask you a question. In this moment right now, what is the next thought that comes into your mind? You see, when we do this, when we put the attention on the next thought that comes into our mind, many times we become actually more present to the moment. We allow there to be some space within. And this is where the power is. It's in the alertness, it's in that space in between the words. Now, knowing that we do not have to be attached to anything that we think gives us the ability to neutralize the meaning as to things that happen. Now, the way that you can use this, and the analogy I always use just because it's the easiest to understand, is imagine you're at a park bench, and you're watching people walk by. You can observe them walk by. You don't have to label them. You can, but you can just observe them walk by, and if you put a label on them, then you let go of the label. And the idea is that in the same way, we can do the same thing to our thoughts. We can allow our thoughts to be there. We don't have to chase them, just like if someone's walking by us at the park, we don't have to get up and walk by them and chase them. We can do the same with our thoughts. Just let them be there. Allow them to be there. The key is in the allowing, not the controlling, not the trying to block us off from all the negative energy. Allow it to be there and it will naturally go away. That was the game changer, because when I learned meditation, about 2 or 3 days into it, I was feeling some result, but I felt like I was trying to control my mind and I was trying to shield myself from negative thoughts. The game changer was when I let them be there. I allowed them to be there, and then what happened is eventually the negative thoughts subsided and then eventually they went away. The second thing that we must let go of in order to feel happy instantly is letting go of blaming others. Now understand that when we blame others, what we do is we automatically give our power away. We say that our happiness is dependent upon what you are doing or what you have done in the past. Now the key to let go of blaming others is to forgive. We can forgive ourselves, and we can also forgive the other people. You know, I went through a lot growing up. I went through a lot with my ex-stepmom. You know, me and my brother a lot of times were locked outside for maybe 9-10 hours a day. We were, required to do yard work. We weren't allowed to eat very much, so we were very malnourished. And then when my dad divorced her when I was 15, my dad was a firefighter, so he wasn't home very often, and she would kind of lie and say, like, this stuff wasn't happening, When he divorced her when I was about 15, my brother was about 13 or 12, then all of a sudden we had all this freedom. And even though we had this freedom, we enjoyed ourselves. Then we were allowed to have friends because we didn't have any friends before. We weren't allowed to really do many school activities because we were always in trouble for something. It'd be some stupid thing. And for years, I had a resentment towards her. And I was like, why did this happen? Like, why did all of this happen? And eventually what happened though is I realized, and I looked at her, and not in a judgmental way, but I realized that she grew up the same way. Her dad was abusive towards her and treated her the same way and had an anger problem, just like she had an anger problem. And that's what she learned, and that's why she treated me and my brother the same way. Now, it didn't make it okay, but what it did do is it allowed me to understand. There's a common saying, I think it's from the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, seek first to understand than to be understood. I understood where she was coming from because I realized it was a pattern that she learned. And that made it a lot easier for me to forgive her, because then I realized that she's just acting out of the unconscious mind. She's just being the way she thinks she has to be. Maybe she has a belief that she has to control every situation and she has to have power over people in order to feel good. Doesn't make it okay, but it's something I came at peace with, and by not blaming her anymore, I let go of all that negativity. For years, I felt that negativity, and once I did that, it completely let it go. Now, how can you apply this in daily life? Well, one of my coaching clients was going through something because she got into an argument with someone at her job, and it happens, I guess, consistently. And the key to this is knowing that that person that may have lashed out towards you is coming at it from a certain point of view. But what we can learn to do is to forgive them with the awareness that they always make decisions based on their own level of rationalization. Let me say that one more time. People will always make decisions based on their own perspective, their own rationalization, and how they've made it okay inside their own head. Now, doing this makes it so much easier to forgive. Realize you can forgive yourself for maybe reacting a certain way, and as you forgive yourself, everything begins to change. Now, the third thing that you must let go of in order to feel happiness instantly is attachment to memories of the past. Now, the key to this is always bringing the awareness back to the present moment. Realize that the present moment is where the gift is. The present moment is where you really feel and are able to get out of the head and into the moment and into your body. Really, that's what it is. And in order to do this, what you do is realize that the past was an experience you had, and anytime you catch yourself going back to the past, what you can do is be grateful that you're catching yourself and bring it back to the present moment. What you could do for this, and the most powerful way to do it, is to bring the awareness out of the head and into the sense perceptions. So this is where what you do is you put the awareness into your hands right now. Do that with me right now, this little exercise. Put the awareness into your hands. And as you feel from that point of view, you feel the sensation in your hands. You don't even have to do this. You can, but you can just go like this, and you can kind of feel the energy in your hands. And as you do that, as you put the awareness there, you're automatically bringing the awareness majority in the head and into the body. And you'll feel more spaciousness. You'll feel more gap in between your thoughts when you do that. And as you do that, what you do is you become more present to the moment, and then you are less identified with the past, less identified with the future. So that's a very powerful thing to do. Realize that you are not the result of your past. You are who you choose to be in the present moment. This was another epiphany for me, and when I coach people, this is one of the biggest game changers that people experience, is realizing, yes, bad things have happened in the past, good things have happened in the past, bad things may happen in the future, good things may happen in the future. Regardless of what that is, you are who you choose to be in the present moment, and you can decide how you respond to what is happening. This is a mantra that you can always apply anytime you find yourself drifting off into the past or drifting off into the probabilities of the future. Now, this is something that I do, and I always realize I choose my state of being, and having this awareness allows us to take ourselves out of the past and put ourselves in to the present moment. Now, the fourth thing that we must let go of in order to feel happy instantly is negative self-talk and complaining. So this is kind of similar to the first one, but realize that anytime we are complaining, we are buying into something that we don't prefer to believe in. Anytime you catch yourself venting to someone else at your job, ask yourself the question, do I prefer to experience more of this? Because even though we think venting is a great thing because we're letting it out, yes, it's better to express our emotions than to bottle it up, but be aware of how far you bottle it up. Just talk about it for maybe so many seconds, maybe 20, 30 seconds. And after that, revert back and shift your focus. Whatever we focus on will grow. So the key to this is to not focus on these things for so long, to focus more on how we prefer to be. And this means observing those negative thoughts, observing those complaining, and really allowing yourself to let go. If you find yourself around people that are always talking a certain way, always bring you into a certain emotional state of being, decide that you're going to get away from them, maybe in a compassionate way. You're going to go do your own thing, or you're going to limit the time that you talk about certain things. Revert the subject. I used to do that because I had a sales commission job at Barney's, New York, and if it was slow, we would kind of all get together in circles and talk about how slow it was, and talk about the type of customers that were coming that day. And that caused more negative emotion, more negative momentum. And what I would do is I would either walk away from that group, or I would shift the conversation to something I wanted to talk about that was much more positive. So you have the ability to choose what you talk about, what you think about, what you're focused on, and catch yourself and revert it back to the way you prefer to be. Now, the fifth thing that you must let go of in order to feel happy instantly is my favorite thing and the most powerful thing that I think we could really let go of, and that is a negative self-image or negative beliefs. Now, in order to do this, the only thing we really have to do is first off become aware of what our self-image is. How do we relate to other people? Do we view ourselves as an awkward person? Do we view ourselves as somebody that can't really talk in social situations? Do we view ourselves as somebody that, is a victim of circumstance? Have awareness of what your self-image is, and the moment you become aware of what that is the moment you can actually change it. Because before it was on autopilot, it was just running itself out. And in order to feel happy, view yourself as a happy person. View yourself as having empowering beliefs rather than beliefs that limit you. This is where all the power is. This is where I implore you to really go within and ask yourselves the question, what do I believe to be true about myself? What do I believe about who I am and how I relate to the outer world? As you ask these questions, you're getting deeper and deeper into the way that you think. Realize we're always getting a reflection of what we believe to be true. And when we get to the core of what that is, that's where everything begins to change. So I wanted to share that one with you. I will link at the end of this video some end cards that show understanding about how to change our self-image and how when we do that, everything changes, so that you can go deeper if you want to. And that's really where the power is. So remember, the 5 things that you can let go of include understanding that we are not our thoughts. We may think our thoughts, but that is not who we are. When we learn how to observe them, that's where we take our power back. We can know that as we are able to let go of the memories of the past, as we know that we are not the result of our past, we are who we choose to be in the present moment, we really start to feel more present. We take the awareness out of the head and into the body. Then we can also remember we can forgive the people that have done bad things to us, forgive the people that maybe we have resentment for. We don't have to blame other people. Realize everybody makes choices based on their own level of rationalization. What we can do is, knowing that, we can at least accept what they have done, allow it to be there, and know that it wasn't something personable. It's just something that they acted out because that's how they thought they had to be. And then what we do is we remember that we can let go of any negative self-image, let go of limiting beliefs by simply becoming aware of what our self-image is and then deciding to let it go. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification gear so that you're able to see the daily videos that I do. And also, I put a free PDF on my top 5 Law of Attraction books that changed my life. 2 of these books are literally less than 50 pages. A lot of these books you can read in about 2 hours. Some of them are more classic. You can find a couple of them for free online, so feel free to download that by clicking the link in the bio in the description box. I'll see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste.